Hey, how's it going, everyone? We are back once again in the final whistle with Group C being all finished and wrapped up. And today we see the Dutch beat North Macedonia 3-0 with a very impressive performance, and Austria coming out on top against Ukraine 1-0 on the final match day of Group C to wrap things up, with the Dutch finishing on top with 9 points, Austria in second on 6 points, Ukraine in third on 3 points, and North Macedonia sadly with no points to end off the group stage. But guys, before we jump into things and react to the group, I would love if you guys hit that sub button, hit the like button, and drop some comments down below on what you think of this group. I'm loving all the support I'm getting, and keep it up, guys. It's really great to see. But guys, we can jump right into things here, and we're gonna start with North Macedonia. Talk about them for a quick second. Nobody really expected much on North Macedonia. A lot of people didn't know their country. A lot of people didn't know where they were in the world, who played for them. If you look closely, if you're a huge football fan, you'd know they have Alioski, Elmas, Pandev, players such as that, Barty. They had some pretty good, talented players. They just need some more pieces, and unfortunately, they don't have the quality to perform in a pretty good group like this. Pandev scored that emotional first goal against the Austrian side, which gave people some hope that if North Macedonia were going to do something or somehow pull off a shock. Unfortunately, that changed tables, but it was still amazing and fun to see Pandev get that goal against Austria. It was a beautiful watch, and everyone knew that they were going to run everything down the left hand side with Alioski, which was so predictable, which was unfortunate that they didn't have something on that right hand flank. But for North Macedonia, it was still a fun tournament. It was a good tournament. The Dutch made an amazing gesture towards Pandev, the North Macedonian side, by giving a Pandev his own jersey saying 122 since it's his last game for North Macedonia. And they just gave him a nice little send off with that, which was great to see the Dutch doing in that final game. And it just shows a little bit of respect that we need to see all the time in football and in the world. But guys, we're going to move on to the Ukraine, who have finished third with 3 points with the win over North Macedonia. Ukraine fans did look quite sad in the stadium after the game, but for me, I think they're going to go through as one of the best third place finishes. Currently, they do land in that category, but it's going to be tough depending on what Spain do, what others do in Group B coming up, like such as Finland. But Ukraine disappointed me. I expected Ukraine to do a lot better. They have some really good pieces. Yarmolenko, some really good players. But I expected Yaremchuk to have a great tournament, and he didn't show up as I thought he would. He didn't also have the service that I thought he'd get, which was very unfortunate because Yaremchuk's a very young, talented striker. He did play very well in all of his games, just didn't have the service which I expected him to get. Chisyankov wasn't there, which I forgot. He didn't play much at all, and the Austria really surprised me. That's what really caught me off guard. I didn't expect Austria to do as well as they did. But if you look at Ukraine's performance today in the 1-0 loss in the last match day against Austria, they didn't show anything. They didn't show any cutting edge, not too much passion or desire for me. And Austria just wanted it more from me, guys. You looked at that Austria team, and they were just going full out to win it. And Ukraine just didn't deserve to win today's game at all. They played terrible. They played awful. And kudos to Austria for playing how they did today, but Ukraine didn't show me anything. And you look at Ukraine are a team that you're going to look to your star players in the big games or the big moments like the crunch time, the last 15, 20 minutes. And Alexander Zinchenko for Manchester City was terrible, really. I could count maybe 5 or 6 passes on my hand, one hand, two hands, that put straight out a player, straight to another opponent from a different team. And when you're relying on those big players to try to set up the likes of Yaremchuk, like I said, or Yarmolenko, or help out in attack, it just sums up how they played this tournament and what Zinchenko was like and their star players were like. And it's very unfortunate to see. I predicted them to come first, which was, looking back at it now, quite a bad prediction. But it's still fun to see now what I said before and look back, because I didn't expect this Ukraine side to do as bad as they did, and I also didn't expect Austria to do as good as they did. But guys, we're gonna move on to Austria, the second place team in the group, and I'm actually quite surprised by how they played. Austria were quite phenomenal in a lot of the games they were in, winning 3-1 against Macedonia. I was quite shocked once they went 1-1, but they showed some resilience to come back, and I was quite impressed. I wasn't impressed with how cocky, how arrogant they were. I thought it was very disrespectful to North Macedonia, and I was quite shocked by that. And in turn to that, we saw Arnautovic get suspended for a game, probably their biggest game of the tournament so far. And I just did not like how they represented themselves in their country in that first game. It was very disrespectful for me. And against the Dutch, obviously they lost 2-0, but they still showed some really nice bright sparks, some really good passages of play, some good 10-15 minutes of play, which other teams haven't done against the Dutch, really. I mean, Ukraine did come close to beating them, but Austria did play decently well. And then you look at their last match day game against Ukraine. I thought Austria played very well. They earned it. They worked hard. They didn't stop. And they played fantastically. But guys, I'm going to highlight the guy who I thought, two players who surprised me the most here from Austria. David Alaba. I really have to start with David Alaba. I couldn't believe how he played, especially in that first game against North Macedonia. Looked like they were out of options. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't get anything going, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, David Alaba says, "Screw it," because David Alaba was playing on the left of a three in the back. He was controlling it. He was your sweeper. Anything that went behind the other two center backs, he swept up, and all of a sudden you saw David Alaba late in the game switch to like a left wing, a left mid, and it flipped. The game just flipped on its head, really, guys, and that just shows me how phenomenal of a player he is for me. You look at what he's done with Bayern Munich, what he's done on the national stage. He can play any position you want him to, really. He can play the defensive midfield. He's done for Bayern and Austria. He's played left wing for Austria. He's played left back, center back, right side of a three. He's moved and played cam for Austria. Just his tactical ability to switch around the field and play whatever position Austria needs him to at the current time is just unbelievable to see, and it's so fun to watch a player like that. And what he's done in this tournament just showed me how brilliant of a footballer he is and what Real Madrid's getting, because that game against North Macedonia, I'm not sure if it was the manager or him, but all of a sudden you saw a switch, and you could see that they couldn't get anything going, and he switches himself to the left-hand flank. Beautiful ball into the box, and it scored. I can't remember who scored that one, but it was a fantastic goal, fantastic ball. And I think it was Gregorich, and it was a beautiful goal. And it was all because of David Alaba switching up the formation, switching up the play all on his own. And kudos to him. It was just a great performance all around from Austria. I thought this tournament, they played very well when they had to. And kudos to them. They surprised me, and I'm sure they surprised a lot of people. I thought they weren't going to show up with the talent they had, but they did, and fair play. I'm going to talk about the Dutch here, guys. I was really happily surprised. I did not think they would walk this group as easily as they did. Especially, people could say they didn't easily walk it with their 3-2 win against Ukraine. That was a cakewalk for me, really. Those two goals were just a scare. Yarmolenko's goal was a screamer. Nothing Stecklenburg could do against that one. And the other one was a freak show goal and just poor defending. And it was really the Dutch's game all game. You look at the game, you go back. The Dutch had them beat the whole game. They just had a 10-minute lapse of concentration, and they still won it, which shows me the desire they had to go on and win the game and the passion they had to keep going and just to come back and win it, which is fantastic for me, which Ukraine obviously had the momentum. Ukraine had the desire to come back, the desire to win, or to hold the draw, and it was a mistake by their goalkeeper for Ukraine. But what the Dutch did, and they worked the ball to Denzel Dumfries, and what Dumfries has been doing since then, this tournament has been unbelievable. Coming off a 3-2 win against Ukraine, they beat Austria 2-0, which was very impressive for me. They looked unbelievable. And then beating North Macedonia 3-0 today, which you could say, yes, it's North Macedonia, but they looked very dominant today, and it was great to see. I don't think I need to talk about the Dutch too much, guys. They're fantastic. Yes, I put them second in this group. I thought there'd be an upset here, or one of Austria or Ukraine might have done something, but they didn't really do anything at all, and the Dutch really showed what their quality was. I just didn't expect Frank de Boer to be this prepared for or do this well without a Van Dijk and De Ligt in the first game. And just I obviously don't highly rate Frank de Boer. He did terrible at Crystal Palace, terrible with Atlanta United. And at least he's got them to the round of 16. We'll see what they can do from here. I feel like the Dutch will go far at how they've played so far in the group stage. They beat some very good teams, and they've showed what they got, and it's great to see how they're playing so far. But guys, I'm going to sign off for now. I think it was a great group stage for Group C. We'll be back in a little bit to do a reaction to Group B because it's going to be an interesting match day for them to see how that one wraps up with Finland and Belgium. And you have the other matchup of Denmark and Russia. Guys, we'll be right back just in a little bit to talk about Group B. But guys, hope you enjoyed the Group C talk. Hit the sub button, hit the like button, and drop down those comments. And we'll be right back after this. Peace.